I believe that I am the best person for the job of President of the United States. My unique talents give me the ability to be assertive and diplomatic at the same time. I'm a person who will spike the conversation, who will get politics rolling and stimulate new questions and new answers to our current political dilemma facing our nation. I believe I have a keen understanding of the economy and how to improve where we're at relative to other nations around the world. I believe that our goal at America's Third Party was to create a very strong platform in which would propel the American people forward with new opportunities and a new possibility of creating a better nation, a cleaner environment, and less war. Diplomatic at the same time.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to America's Third Party and Truth Tuesday. I'm David Sponheim. Welcome. I'm glad everyone's here watching the show. I'm checking all of my technology here to make sure everything's up and running. And I am going to a different mic. Let's try this one. Okay, we're on a different mic now. A little hotter mic. Thank you. I prefer this mic better than the first mic, but your choice. I am watching the Democratic debates, but right now, unfortunately, I have to touch down on the room and talk to everybody. Normally the Democratic debates would be important to me because I was a Democrat. But since they no longer talk about things that are important to me, like GMOs, the dangers, vaccines, forced vaccines on the population, which we don't need, they no longer talk about things like air pollution, like chemtrails. They think that's a conspiracy theory, yet they're talking about doing it to cool the planet. They've got all these odd things that they talk about, like Medicare for all, when we already have Medicaid for all, which is ironic. And then they're arguing about who's going to pay for it. Bernie Sanders wants to have just the federal government cover it, but he says he's not going to impose a tax on the middle class. Kamala Harris says it's going to have to be taxed, but she doesn't support his plan. We don't need Medicare for all. It's going to cost $60 trillion. We need a public option, something that Barack Obama did not fight for, which I think will cut the middleman out of the business and get down to a national insurance plan for people. And we have a plan that's $60 a month. Nobody else in the political field can come up with a plan like this that'll cover full dental and full health care. So these are ideas that the Democrats just don't have enough meat in their budget for the people. They simply are using my talking points that I've been using for years. Hillary mentioned solar panels on rooftops back in the debates with Trump. I'm sure people like Hillary are going to mention solar panels on rooftops. My idea, to build an infrastructure of solar panels on rooftops. I don't support cap and trade. I don't support carbon point legislation. I think the American taxpayer is going to end up suffering because of it. We can't afford to even buy ourselves a little personal gift now and then. A lot of you people are working your butt off, your family, and can't even afford something for yourself without putting it on your credit card. And then you can't pay the bill. So all of this has to be tackled. The Democrats won't touch this overspending issue, which they themselves are responsible for. They talk about Trump's $1 trillion over budget per year. They just added another $340 billion to the budget on top of the $1 trillion. It's absurd. So it's kind of hard to embrace the Democratic debate among people that talk about things I don't want to hear about. All right. Thank you. Hey, Dave. No, we won't do any kind of nude spreads. I'm completely, into privacy and protecting. I'm a big supporter of the Me Too generation. People that are going, hey, stop this sexual exploitation. Stop the sexual harassment that's been going on in our country. I just walked by my first unisexual bathroom the other day at a rest area somewhere in America. And I was like, okay, so who goes in there? I just was wondering. I mean, how many transgenders are there among us? Right. Plus, it's all about the mystery of what's behind the clothes, the myth of David. If I took my clothes off, that would be, you'd be amazed, but there would be no mystery anymore. Plus, I don't believe in doing that. And I don't think women should either. I think people should take their bodies, their privacy seriously. Exploiting yourself, not getting any money for your exploitation, human trafficking, it's on the rise, We need to stop what's really happening in America, which is abduction of children, human trafficking, this immigration problem, which my plan of a container fence could truly fix, a 1,000-mile, $1 billion container fence plan. If I were Trump right now, I would have implemented that. He just got $2.5 billion approved. We could do it for $1 billion by lining containers up along the wall area. Now, the 1,000-mile fence idea was my idea in 2008, but Trump grabbed it in 2014 and called it a wall. So if he doesn't get busy on that wall with the $2.5 billion he just received from approvals through court, which he used the same technique I said he should use, which simply beef up the defense of our border with our own troops and use something to defend them, like a fence. Unisexual bathrooms are gay. That's what I was thinking. I didn't really know. I didn't have anyone to ask. I said, "Is this a gay bathroom?" And there was nobody at the unisexual bathroom at the rest area to say, "Hey, excuse me, but am I supposed to use this? Because I'm not gay." Well, my promise to get rid of college debt is to actually acquire the entire debt under a federal program, an infrastructure bank. Bernie Sanders doesn't have a plan. He just wants to wipe it out. Elizabeth Warren wants to wipe it out. I don't think the people who've taken out huge student loans should have a free ride. But I do believe that they should pay back at fair interest no more than 2%. And that, to me, makes sense. And if we had an infrastructure bank, we could amalgamate the $1.3 trillion in student debt that's currently outstanding right now, FAFSA loans, etc. And that would automatically make your payments to your student loans immediately go toward the principal. I think I'm speaking your language. And I'm telling all the other people, you don't get a free ride in this world. Nobody does. Now, I didn't get affirmative action money to go to college like Elizabeth Warren did. I was denied entrance into 4 major universities, even though I was a #1 student in my high school class of 770 students. I was the valedictorian. I had a 4.0 average and I had high SAT scores, but I wasn't allowed into those universities. Princeton, Yale, Stanford, and Harvard. A university that my great-great-grandfather helped to establish. It's very strange, isn't it? Now, she lied about her Cherokee status, and she shouldn't even be running for president. She should be charged with a crime right now, fraud. The fact that Trump hasn't charged her with a crime is very suspicious. But therein lies the problem. They've created the two-party system, which is more like a play, like a kabuki play. In Japan, the drama and tragedy, left versus right, right versus left. They want to divide our country by keeping Elizabeth Warren in play, by keeping Ilhan Omar in play, by keeping Donald Trump tweeting like a complete idiot every day. They love it. The people that run our country love this division. But we have a centrist idea that could unite the country and could bring people together. And that frightens these people. It really does. They know full well that if the United States unites, we will kick the ass of the elitists and push them out of our country one by one. They know that. Thank you. I support community college. In fact, my 6 week to 6 month program was born in the community college concept, embracing local businesses, giving them an opportunity to offer certification and an education to people at a low cost. Could you handle that? Just, yeah, thank you. Hearing noises everywhere. How are you? Welcome. If we have any chatters, Dave, she's the idiot with no good ideas, just like Bernie. I agree, Ivan.
Better?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Elizabeth Warren has no real charisma either. I'm worried about our country being plagued by a Donald Trump-style charisma. Not an honest, caring person like I am, but this loudmouth, blaring greedmonger like Donald is. We need people like average Americans to run this country. If we allowed people like Donald Trump living in his little ivory tower of his own making to try to fix this country, we'll never fix it. The American people on the ground level know full well that Donald Trump has had a gold spoon in his mouth all his life, and they don't respect him. Seriously. Now, the people of Baltimore are being used. The whole city was prepped for riots. The entire police department has all kinds of sentinels set up and riot gear set up. They want riots in Baltimore. So for Donald Trump to make a big issue about Baltimore today is absurd. So when did he ever come out and say he cared about the people? Well, he's getting us ready for some sort of conflict there. And that's how they're going to play out this New World Order equipment that they've tested out under Barack Obama in Baltimore. And there's evidence that George Soros financed that endeavor. And let's not forget, George Soros is a close friend of Donald Trump's. Yeah. He defends him. He got a $160 million loan from George Soros to build some buildings in New York. All right, we got a couple people that come in the show and try to have to ban them. Yeah, thank you. Nobody's called me on the debate, no. If you have a good, credible link to the debate, I'd like to see it. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and talk for a while and bring in some basic news. Nothing special. Yes. 2 children, recent college graduate, killed in the California Gilroy Garlic Festival shooting. We haven't seen any more photographs or any disputations yet. We'll find out about that later, whether it's considered a legitimate event in the eyes of the public opinion. We always work it through to see if there's any credible photographs, so we look at that too. Trump claims African Americans love his Baltimore comments despite negative polls. Yeah. And half of U.S. voters think Donald Trump is a racist. A new poll, so that's very interesting. Yeah, that's going to hurt him in the election. As you know, I've never said a racial slur in my life, unlike Trump, who's made all kinds of them. And according to Omarosa, Trump used the N-word many times in the White House against her. Now, I've yet to see Omarosa's book. It still hasn't come out yet. But hey, I agree, Baltimore is a trashy area, but honestly, Ivan, they're purposely making Baltimore into a riot zone. I'm trying to explain to you. Ever since Obama, they've been testing Baltimore out as a potential testing area for the New World Order. They want to play out these riots in America. They want to see how they can handle it. They want to test their police force, their police state that they've constructed. Now, we have an obligation as third-party members to tell people about a new way, disarming the federal government in many respects, lowering their powers, giving the power back to the people. That's something America's Third Party stands for. Giving empowerment, freedom, the very things this country was founded on, priority. Now, I recently reviewed some documents called the United States Constitution, in which our government was predicated to protect your rights to liberty and freedom, the pursuit of happiness and life. The government is constructed to make your life better, not to impose its will on these people. We need to help the people of Baltimore. and elevate their lifestyle, get infrastructure in there, become more green, and turn Baltimore into like a mecca and a new harbor for the East Coast. Why not? Why not really improve that and throw some federal dollars into that? So what are we doing really is we're just got a president running around screaming about all these things, pretty much foreshadowing what's to come, telling us in advance, oh, Baltimore is a very bad place, very concerned about Baltimore. We know that riots are going to pop up there again. They have the whole system set up to do that. I know I'm right. Thank you, Ivan. But you're right on too. Yeah. So this interactive show, as you know, we kept it alive during the traveling time. And these people have absolutely no way of stopping me other than to attack our show and to spam us. Now, who's paying for all these attacks? Well, we believe the Russians are. And I'm one of the only people in the country really carrying that torch about Russian conspiracy. Mueller investigated Trump's involvement with Russia and called it a conspiracy. The truth is out now. We also know from last night that the Russians have been bribing or blackmailing Donald Trump. We know that. And I'll be bringing that link into the show again for you. Here it is. NewYorkMagazine.com has the link. And if you haven't read this article, it's really a humdinger. I mean, you Republicans need to wake up. Donald Trump has been blackmailed by the Russians, and Mueller didn't do a damn thing to stop it. It looks like Mueller's part of the plan. They're covering all this up. All right, so if you have a credible link to the debates, I'll take it, but I don't really see any new information being shared in the Democratic Party. I almost feel like they've become the non-party of the people. They're definitely not helping the average Joe in America. Yeah, Baltimore has a brain-dead government, not very good. Yep. They purposely dumb those governments down, too. The reason why a lot of people in democratically held states are falling into the gun control gap, like Baltimore or Maryland, mostly Democrats have pushed gun control. You cannot actually get your kid into school without vaccinating your kid in Baltimore, Maryland, in Maryland itself. They'll hold guns on parents just to get their kids vaccinated. So Baltimore, Maryland is kind of like a testing center for the New World Order. They're pushing gun control, vaccinations. They're really, and again, the preparation for the federal government to deal with mob rioting in anticipation of civil riots, which really that's their game plan. They want to create civil riots in America so that the martial law can be created and then the government can truly take over. So we're seeing a president that has been completely compromised by Russia, a government led by Democrats in the House that can't even impeach. I mean, the Republicans did a better job of impeaching Bill Clinton than the Democrats have done with Donald Trump. It shows you how weak the Democrats are, which really belies a deeper problem. Why are the Democrats this way? Because they kick people like me out. They told me to shut up. That's why the Democrats are this way. Hey Dave, I can't get iVlog to work for now, so I'm in here. Wow, add the one, can't get iVlog to work. See, we're being censored. Our top operator over there, actually that one guest and add the one, cannot even get into iVlog. Can you believe that? I'm really amazed. Thank you, add the one, for telling me. Right, Trump would eat those weaklings alive in a debate. The only man who could defeat Trump in verbal combat is me. Thank you. That's a very nice compliment, Ace Spade. I believe I am the only person in America who could rip into him in the style he rips into other people. Donald Trump grew up in an area that, well, actually his father managed an area of New York that my relatives came from. And that's pretty serious. You know, I call it Brooklyn. But I call it the Brooklyn style of communicating. And I coined the term because it's the best way I can describe how Donald Trump communicates. I was raised by a person who grew up in that environment, my mother, and she was vicious. verbally vicious with people. She could really tear into people, and I could easily employ those skills that she taught me. But I'd rather not. But with Trump, yeah, I definitely would. There's no reason why we'd let this guy get off skating with 6,000 lies in the past 3 years, with obvious collusion with Russia, and now he's firing his top guys who happen to be going against him on the Russian dialogue. Fox News analysts warns Trump is locking down the intelligence community for his purposes. Yeah, we featured this last night too. Let me just bring that up. Yeah, we had a man leave as a result of, I've got all kinds of things playing in the background. Yeah, Dan Coates, as Director of National Intelligence, has left. And he literally resigned because Trump refused to acknowledge, no, I'm not going to do crispier. Trump refused to acknowledge the Russian conspiracy against our country. And we know now that Trump did know completely about the Russians rigging the election, and he didn't say anything to anyone, including the FBI. We know now, after the Mueller testimony, that Trump was being blackmailed during this time period by Russia. And our government's doing nothing. We should see this as a national security risk right now and be actively working on a way to migrate out of this position, not just open toward the 2020 election. We're in a very vulnerable position. If, yeah, nice try there, buddy. If our government, yeah, hey, let me clear chat, okay? Cellfire, are you a Democrat? You don't have to answer that. All right. Yeah, some of you are getting in no problem. Yeah. You see that what they do at iVlog, they're doing the same technique Vaughn is doing. They limit certain IPs that are popular on the show. Like Add the One, who's one of our 2 operators, and then we have Scissor Fight. He may not even be able to get into the room. Yeah. They may have locked him out too. Seriously. So they're doing the same technique Mark's been doing for some time. What he did was he let all the T. Rucker people in, and now you people watch the show and like it so much that you keep coming back. And he didn't expect that. And a lot of you who were believers in T. Rucker know that he faked his death, and he's now posting a show called Ghost Politics with a voice synthesizer. His voice is completely synthesized, so you can't tell it's him. But Mark and his crony friends have virtually made tons of money censoring me. I mean, they're rolling in cash. But you got to understand, they have no ethics and no belief in our country or a chance for a third party. They're doing literally the deed of the devil. I did not forget Larry. I just didn't bring him in full force. You missed the early play of Larry last night. The site is back up? Okay. All right. Well, we do know that there's a lot of DDoSing going on. And as you see, because we have an entire show, we're starting our new formats coming up. And we'll be doing a really cool 8-hour show. 5 hours live and 3 hours of video. Because I found out, hey, I'm glad you got in. Thank you, Other One. I found out that 4 hours of video was too much, and people on the East Coast couldn't get to sleep on time. Now, the one thing I hate is to have those scratchy eyes at 4:30 in the morning and wonder, is the sun going to come up? So I don't want people on the East Coast to be in that position. Seriously. Watching our show can be addictive, and I do the show every night. I should know, because obviously I enjoy it. But Huang, you're not allowed to use the N-word. We talked about that. That's a 5-minute. Yeah. Just because Mark allows the N-word here, it in no way is cool by me. I don't want to increase any racial hostility. That's never been my goal. So the Democrats are on right now. We've got Elizabeth Warren. Yeah. You have to just push it to the left like that.
Sure you don't.
No, I like to read some of the crap that's coming out of their mind. Yeah, she's claiming victory in Michigan. 1.2 million jobs. I doubt that, seriously. I know that Detroit is still suffering. The only good thing about Detroit is they legalized 12 plants to grow marijuana, in Michigan. So people are buying houses in Detroit growing pot. That's probably the only good thing about the growing real estate business there. Okay, we got a Fox News. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Judge dismisses DNC hacking lawsuit against Trump team, says claim entirely divorced from the facts. Okay, I'll look at that in just a bit. Thanks. You're still working that joke, Ace Spade. The attorneys of so-and-so and so-and-so. It just, you got to work on a new one. Well, the Democrats and the Republicans are both working with Russia. That became apparent in the recent Mueller testimony. There was a question that came up about a certain Russian oligarch that had been working with the Democrats. And Mueller says he was not allowed to comment on that. It's out of his purview. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Russia has been controlling both Democratic leaders and Republican leaders because back in 2011, Brett Kavanaugh made it totally legal for super PACs to take money from foreign governments. Yeah, Brett Kavanaugh, the guy that's, I like to drink beer, Senator. Is that okay? That's a guy that is working for the Russians. So consequently, Democrats have been getting Russian money. I know, we're uncovering this right now. Recently, Lindsey Graham, in 3 years, has received $800,000 from Russian oligarchs. Mitch McConnell gets money to get re-election. So the Russians are already embedded in the two-party system. That's why a third party is the only way out for America. Now, if you're a true American patriot, or you're just a person who's concerned about the environment, you see it being killed by corporate America, you know that the Democratic Republican Party are complicit in this. That Dow Chemical has lobbyists that cater to both parties. That Bayer, now the owners of Monsanto, control both parties with their lobbyists. You know that your vote is meaningless. Unless you move toward a third party, you're not really making a stand against corporate America and the incredible destruction of our planet, which is going on right now. And we're complicit if we continue voting two-party. We really are. I wouldn't doubt Putin is making calls to him. Richard Cunningham, I do look a little like, Ron Howard. Yeah, Ron Howard's a little, I think he's a little older than me. Yeah, by a few years. But I look a little like him, sure. He has lost all of his hair, and yeah, he's sporting a different look completely. But you can see there's a strong resemblance here between me and him. He could be kind of like a long-lost brother from another mother, maybe. See that? Anyways, I don't have to worry about my house payment in Beverly Hills, and I don't think he does either. Thank you. I'd say your name, but every time I do, it sounds like I've got problems. His username is I have diarrhea.
Okay.
Now, Bernie Sanders is offering Medicare for all. I'm watching in the
He
background.
wants to shut down all gas-powered cars by 2040.
Yeah, he wants to eliminate
Bernie
combustion
Sanders.
engines. Bernie Sanders says. Bernie Sanders wants to eliminate combustion engines, and he wants to have all prisoners vote in upcoming elections. I mean, this guy's commie to the max. I like our infrastructure of automobiles. I look around and I say, wow, you people are really making maximum use of fuel. Gasoline, ironically, is the best fuel to run vehicles. Ethanol is not, ironically. The Republicans pushed ethanol. It's got 23% less mileage out of that. Worst burn you can get is ethanol. But in any event, here we are with great cars, a great infrastructure of gasoline engines, and Bernie wants to get rid of them. He doesn't want to talk about chemtrails. He doesn't want to talk about the endless crap that they're spraying in the sky above us. Like this. I'm not making this up. These are actual photographs of time-lapse chemtrails. Pot is legal in Vermont. But in a lot of states, they're not even implementing it. Like in Maine, you can't even get marijuana still because LePage, the governor, vetoes every effort they put out to get recreational marijuana supply stores going for selling marijuana in Maine. They're still 2 years out. They haven't done a thing. But yeah, this is what they should be talking about. But I guarantee there's not one mention of chemtrails in this debate tonight. They'll talk about this as a way to solve the climate change. Oh, stratospheric aerosol injection. Huh? And my own governor, Jay Inslee, is running for president out there. He's in the debates. And frankly, that's all he talks about is cap and trade. Cap and trade this, cap and trade that. And he has no real clue. Cap and trade legislation and carbon point legislation will at best reduce carbon emissions by 17% by 2030. Oh, that's your last. You have one more warning, and then you get banned again. Yeah, both of you. I see that. I will not allow that there. So at best, 17% reductions in emissions while we're dumping chemicals in the air right now. I can stop this. As president, I can shut the planes that are dumping the chemicals down. And like I said, the Democrats won't even talk about it. It's crazy. I don't dispute the idea that any number of things, including detergents, are to blame. But if we don't deal with the elephant in the closet or the chemtrails in the sky, we're not really getting to the point. I mean, they are literally poisoning the sky right now daily. And we're talking about our emissions from our mufflers. Unbelievable. Hi, Scissor Fight. Welcome. Yeah. Doing a little backup show here in the comfort of our hotel. Hey, we got a new video from Scissor Fight on the Gilroy Garlic Festival shooting. News was posted of it days before it happened. Wow. The same thing's been going on. Let's take a look at this link. Okay, bring it in. Let's haul it in. Thank you, and welcome. You know, last time I played that, he's showing you all the connections here. Yeah. Last time I played these things, they actually monetize them. So, but you can see the dates. It happened right there, same day, in advance. They posted it. The same thing happened. Wow. So I muted the volume because I definitely, they actually monetize those songs from cartoons. Fire at Oakland Building, Gilroy Garlic Festival, July. Yeah, there they are, all posted days before. So they posted this the day before. Wow. 2 days before. Unbelievable. Look at that. Huh. Wow. And then you went for the link and it's gone. They pulled it. He has all these photographs of search engines showing the event happening before it happens. Wow. Every one of them is like got to post a pre-date. Man, you uncovered just a whole lot of these things. Amazing. Nice work, man. Yep, and then you click the link and they're gone. Yep. Look at that. And they're trying to erase these as they were posted. Wow. Thank you. And I will look at that a little bit later too with the music. Good job on that, Scissor Fight. Wow. Again, you know, fakery going in front of us every day. Crazy. Let me see what I have here. This is all put on the internet ahead of time. How would they have foreknowledge of the event? You ask yourself. Judge dismisses the DNC hacking lawsuit against Trump team and says claims entirely divorced from the facts. Okay. So the DNC is making attacks, personal attacks on Trump, but they can't pull together an impeachment against Trump. Isn't that interesting? The DNC is willing to put together a lawsuit, a civil case, but they can't even put together an impeachment case. And Nadler says he's working on an impeachment case, but this guy looks like he's eating lox and bagels every day, and sitting there with his friends talking. Oh, I swear they picked the meekest guy to launch an attack on Trump. I don't get it. It's like this guy doesn't have the balls to speak out. You need somebody with some balls to speak out on the impeachment issue. Donald Trump has obviously violated numerous laws. Over 150 prosecutors in the U.S. have said that he's in felony land almost everywhere he turns. When he gets out, he'll be charged with felonies in New York. We know that. But we know more about this now. We know that he's been blackmailed by Russia. We know that he knew the Russians were rigging the election before the election. I mean, these are all completely impeachable offenses. Yet the Democrats go, oh, well, Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to do anything, doesn't want to destroy her base. Oh, she doesn't have a base. The people that believe in the Democratic Party are leaving, but they don't know where to turn. They'd love to turn to America's third party, but they don't even know we exist. Yeah, Putin's got him by his wallet and his sex tapes. Yeah. Okay. Crazy check. I don't know what that's about, but thank you. You guys see somebody I need to ban, just tell me. Well, let me give you a little heads up about what we've been doing. We've been pouring like 300 to 400 miles a day, traveling, and it is pretty nice. No, I'm not pale, no. I'm in low-level lighting, mostly compact fluorescent lighting at hotels, and I'm doing the best I can. All the travel shows are this way. When I get back to my studio lighting, you'll see how great my coloring is, my face is. Okay, Drag King, don't post any pictures of yourself bending over. That's not appropriate here. Thank you. Yeah, so we've been pounding down 300 to 400 miles a day, and it's not easy crossing country by vehicle, but it's doable. It's something that can be done. A 16-year-old Fortnite gamer wins $3 million, and I need to know about that. We don't care about money here, man. Yeah, that's not important. You may care. I don't care. You guys don't have to donate. I told you I'm building an anti-money campaign. The people that are being paid to attack me. Wow. I saw that scissor fight. Yeah, I know what. Yeah, I Love Fries needs to be banned as well. Yeah, we saw the picture of her saying that. Yeah, actually, it's a him. It's a transgender. Well, you're pursuing a career in video games. Well, that's great. I hope you get to your 3 million pinnacle, but it's not relevant. Money isn't relevant to this show. What did he say? Well, I just muted him because of the statement that was made about him. Him. We're not sure. He's a transgender. Yeah, really. Mark's helicopter needs fuel. You know, Mark has been making tons of money on the show, and now he's trying to paint a picture like he's poor and looking for donations. It's pathetic. He even said he was going to eliminate his entire show because he doesn't have electricity. I mean, begging. It makes him look like he's a pauper, but in fact, he's really, really rich. Yeah, he's made tons of money on the show. Censoring our show. If I had an interviewer, they'd ask me, well, how does that make you feel, Dave? It makes me feel terrible. It makes me feel like there are people that want to stifle the American people and are willing to take money to do it. It makes me feel like we don't even have a free press. It makes me feel like there are some scumbags in the world who will do gang stalking for cash, like those people. And I know they exist, but here they are. in our show. Now, you people, good citizens, have been watching these scumbags make millions of dollars censoring our show and going, what's going on, Dave? I can't control the money that they make from Russia to try to stop the message that I bring about Donald Trump's connections to Russia and to the huge money gain of just profiting from the White House. Whenever Donald Trump needs to make some payments on his loans to the Deutsche Bank or he has a lot of loans, he has to come up with a way to get quick cash. Well, ironically, Donald Trump can make instant cash from Secret Service by just simply going golfing. Because Secret Service has to follow him, and they automatically have to book like a fleet of 20 or 30 rooms in his hotels. He instantly gets $600 per night for those hotels and brings cash in. It's like a cash infusion. He's sucking money out of our budget to finance his personal loans that he has with all these oligarchs. And Donald Trump has financial relations with China, which undermines our trade policy there. Yeah. Part of the reason why our relationship with China has gone south is because of course, Donald Trump's ridiculous imposition of economic sanctions against Iran, which I warned against, and this ridiculous attack on Meng, the CFO of Huawei. Huawei is the largest telecommunications provider in Asia, and their chief financial officer is being charged with numerous crimes by the U.S. And it's brought Canada into the deal, in not in a good way. It's brought Japan into the deal, not in a good way. Now we've got Pete Buttplug on, talking about what would make African Americans want to vote for him. Well, if he just recognized that he can't use religion to defend his gayness, that would be a start. No, nobody invites me to participate in anything. I don't think you understand. Many of you longtime viewers don't realize that I'm completely censored in my country. Anytime a person tries to start a political movement, they're going to be censored in America. America is not free and democratic. We're as censored as North Korea is. So don't think for a second that we're any better off than North Korea. We aren't. North Korea fires multiple unidentified projectiles early Wednesday. Jan Hap. Yeah, so this is Donald Trump's some sort of peace agreement he put together, where we get numerous problems with our allies being threatened, like Japan and South Korea. Projectiles were launched from the Hodo Peninsula in South Hamgyong province on North Korea's east coast. The Joint Chiefs of Staff of the South Korean Military Joint Chiefs of Staff said it's monitoring the situation in case of additional launches and maintaining a readiness posture. You know, the effort of Donald Trump to strike peace fell flat on his face, and we know now that most of those meetings with Kim Jong-un were orchestrated by Lavrov, the foreign minister for Vladimir Putin. Yeah, tell me about it, Zelfire. They're desperate to stop me, and they know that you guys watching me are telling people about me, and it can't stop, and it won't stop. The word of mouth traffic is not controlled by the elitists. The world is talking about America's third party. It's spreading. They can't stop the word of mouth I'm getting. Seriously. No, isn't his name Pete? Oh, I'm sorry, it's Buttigieg. Yeah. It's Pete Buttigieg. Well, if he's got a gig going on his butt, that's between him and his homosexual lover. But running for president, telling people, attacking Ted Cruz, using religion, I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous. Ted Cruz is one of the smartest guys out there in the Republican Party. I would actually consider giving him a post in my administration. He is simply one of the best constitutional experts out there. So what does Pete Buttigieg do? Call him out. You know, like Trump called Ted Cruz's wife a whore. I mean, come on. I think Pete Buttigieg ought to get his act together before he starts attacking people on religious grounds. Thank you. No, ridiculous. North Korea gets $400 million US from America not to produce daughter radioactive fissile material for dirty bombs. And you can prove that? I never saw that treaty. Ridiculous. Yeah, I've never seen that treaty. When did we strike a treaty with North Korea for them not to produce radioactively fissible material? That was never written into the agreement with Donald Trump. What are you saying? You're making up stories? All right, whatever. Hey, we got add the one, that one guest, and scissor fight. Oh, everybody's in. Thanks, guys. And Mark is offering a new VIP non-censored ATP for $19.99. You can't monetize my channel. What he's doing is illegal. I cannot be treated differently than any other channel. And if he's doing that, that's violating constitutional law. Equal protection of the law, it defends me. I can't be treated differently than other people. He's really in serious criminal charge land. I can't believe Mark's trying to do this. Prove it to me. I haven't seen an IM on mine. I haven't gotten an IM from Mark. Can you copy the IM and send it to me at americasthirdparty@gmail.com? I'll give you my direct email address. Yeah, screen cap that thing, because that's part of my case against him. He can't treat me differently than other people. Well, if you get another one, make a copy of it. Thank you. I'm not asking for the world here. Anyway, we're doing well. So, our trip has been pretty exhausting, though. But Sarah and I took a wonderful swim in one of the nicest indoor swimming pools I've seen in these hotels in a long time. I think I look tired because I've been driving all day.
You want me to take over?
No, I'm fine. You just relax. I don't look tired. And that's a bannable offense if you come in and say that again. There's nothing about me that looks tired. Yeah. Hey, Hog Slammer, that didn't come in case you're wondering. So far, we have spent, I would say, anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000. That's just a ballpark figure for hotels alone. I don't believe Bernie Sanders said a thing about me. Why do you make this stuff up, Spade? I mean, that's just not appropriate to talk. Bernie Sanders has a standing gag order to not mention my name publicly. So does Donald Trump. They know that they could be in real trouble with the New World Order, both Bernie and Donald, if they mention my name. Those people who are trying to stop me have spent a hell of a lot of money priming people like Mark with millions of dollars to take a chance on Bernie mentioning my name publicly. The Russians. The ones that rigged the election. Are you in a fishbowl? Because you must be if you don't believe that the Russians rigged the election. Juan, hi. Nothing dirty about a nice hotel, Juan. Your psychic abilities are not working for you. I would never support reparations. I want reparations for Americans, of victims of affirmative action. I want to get what Elizabeth Warren got. Yeah, how much did she make lying about her Cherokee Indian ancestry? And by the way, that was my idea to get a DNA test on her, not Donald's. I preceded him by 2 or 3 years on that issue. Well, apparently this is the new norm. Mueller has caved into the idea that any country can rig elections in America now. Any politician can take information they gather from fake news, from rigged elections. Yeah, that's the new norm, according to a special prosecutor who obviously doesn't understand the law. Robert Mueller should never have been named special prosecutor because he's one step above mentally retarded. I hate to say it, but he didn't get 10 years of tax returns from Donald Trump. That would be completely admissible in this case. He didn't follow through on the second trial with Paul Manafort, which would have shown money laundering connections to the Russian oligarchs. That would have been another one. Mueller isn't gone. I'm not dropping it. You're out of here. I'm muting you. And Mueller has been systematically working for the deep state by preventing bigger questions from being asked. He didn't even know that Jared Kushner had tried to solicit a Russian oligarch to sell his property at 666 Fifth Avenue. Mueller didn't have a clue. He didn't know about that. He didn't know about Jared Kushner trying to get access to the Kremlin, which we know is a fact. That's because the FBI overheard a conversation from Kislyak and the Kremlin saying that Jared Kushner was trying to seek secret contact with the Kremlin. That was not even admissible in his eyes because he didn't even know about it. I mean, all these things. Yeah. He assumed that James Comey was telling the truth. I know. He assumed that James Comey was telling the truth about everything he said. Didn't give him any scrutiny at all. I don't even think James Comey was even called in for a witness. James Comey was the single most important reason why Donald Trump won the election. James Comey might very well be working for the Russians directly and have an elaborate cover, which I kind of believe is the case. Now, when we talk about Russians, we're not talking about Russian oligarchs per se. We're talking about a whole slew of Zionists, Russian Jews, if you will. And I have nothing against Jewish people. I like Jewish people. But Ashkenazis are not necessarily Jewish. Yeah, so I'm a little concerned that these Ashkenazi Zionists have settled in our government and settled in the Russian government and control both. So we're really not talking about Russians. I mean, heck, you go down to D.C. and you walk down the street and you hear people talking Russian. And you wonder why they look like Jewish people. I'm telling you, there's like a pipeline of Russian Jews coming into this country. It's weird. Ever since Trump became president, it's strange. And I like Jewish people, and I have nothing against Jewish people. I'm against the Zionist state extending to a new world order. Yeah, shalom to you. Colt, we're not concerned about the Democrats' inability to form a sentence, let alone an impeachment. And that's immaterial to here. It's like bringing up a statement that Avenatti is being sued against extorting money from Nike. Who cares? Who cares about the Democrats and their ineptitude? Whatever lawsuit they filed is irrelevant. The simple fact is Russia controlled the election. Russia bribed Donald Trump. Get that through your thick Republican head. Okay? Think about that for a while. And think of the impact it could have on our country right now. Who cares if Democrats charged a suit that's dismissed? Who cares? Okay, Sarah was so kind to come in earlier and try to offer me her time, and I just ignored her.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm ready to take a little break. Thank you for coming to our active show, which is it's basically a 2-hour show, 6 to 8 during the week while we're on trip. But we will be back in about a week to bring our regular show 8 hours a day. Count on it. All right? Sarah won't be in every day, but I'll be doing the show regardless. Because this is a point of principle for me, and I think a lot of people realize how desperate the elitists are trying to stop me. I'm not going to stop because, we're on trip. All right. Hold on.
Okay. Hey, everybody. David's hair looks great. He is a great looking guy. When are we back? In about a week, we'll be back home. I'm really looking forward to being back home. It's kind of funny. I thought I was going to take like a long vacation, like the whole summer, and not come back until like September 1st. No. Yeah, like September 1st. And I'm like, let's get home first week in August instead. But the trip has been fun. We've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of presidential memorials. Memorials, so it's been good. Camping near the lions. You want me to save a link for David about camping near lions?
No, I don't need it.
Okay. David says he doesn't need it.
They don't have lions in hotel rooms.
Yeah, the trip will be over in about
A week.
a week, yeah.
Yeah. We
Ish.
shortened it because it was just so.
Maybe he could just do, even if we do get back to the house early, we could still do the show 6 to 8 until like next Friday. No, I'm just kidding.
We might have
It
to.
doesn't matter.
No, we might have to get,
Or
until we get
tomorrow
our
I have to call back and get,
reinstated. Yeah.
yeah, I put my, yeah, I have to get reinstated. I have to let everybody know, coming home. Which will be good. The late casts are not over because David will still loves to do the show, and he'll still put in like, I don't know, however many, 8, about a little almost 6 hours a day.
I put in 8 to 9 hours a day.
Well, I'm trying to get him to 6 hours a day, which is like a full-time job, but
This is a full-time job. I am literally, if people
This
are
is
making
more
money
than
to
a
try to
full-time
stop me,
job.
I'm doing something right. The biggest mistake they made was to try to stop me. That's the biggest mistake they made.
yes, all the COVID people gather were interesting. Yeah, David will still be playing those cool videos
Definitely.
as soon as we get home. He'll probably start within this week. Within a few days, actually.
Very shortly.
Very shortly. Not, yeah, I'll just say that. Okay. Some
Probably eating
video
out the
game
night
we can
before,
say.
you always get hungry.
Yeah,
I did.
David is hungry. He's taking a little dinner break, which is a good thing. Maybe I'll get a little more hungry after this. Wrap the trip up at Burning Man. It's like asking us to wrap the trip up at Sturgis. No, thank you. Not gonna do it. Nope. Alright. I'm just happy to wrap the trip up back at my home.
Well, we accomplished everything we wanted to do.
I know, I've
Yeah.
seen everything in this country that I want to see except for all of the American people. I meet them individually and hear their stories individually, but that's I can do virtually and I don't have to do in person. So do I, Hot Rail, so do I. Hey, how many pounds do you need to lose, Hot Rails? Or are you a rail and like have problems gaining weight? You're ripped. Do you work out all the time? You want to make a perfume for David? We're not perfume people. You're 225, solid. How tall are you if you're 225? Oh, you cut grass all day. You're a mate. You help people with their lawn. Like me,
this night.
if you want. You're 6'2.5". You must do some ab work then too. A blend of dreams, hopes, sweat, fairy dust with a touch. That's pretty funny. Well, David's taller than you and Pretty sure weighs less. I know. $375 and 5'4".
Yeah.
That is bad for his heart.
That's meta-nemesis?
No, Daryl's neighbor.
Oh, because meta-nemesis is the same size.
Oh, is your neighbor meta-nemesis? Because David's saying he thinks he's the same size.
Yeah.
Oh, then that's really good. 34-inch waist pants. My good. How do you do that? I didn't even know if I'm 34-inch waist. Master Meatball wants to be a worm cowboy. Oh, there's commodities. Can I invest? Agricultural marketing resource centers. Earthworm production is of growing interest to many landowners. That's pretty cool. Thanks for the information on worms. Are you laughing at me and my waist size? Probably. You're gonna see if your 5 numbers hit the lottery. I haven't played the lottery, so you can't win if you don't play, so I'm not gonna win. I know that David eats too many carbs.
I don't know.
No.
No, that's not
Actually,
true.
that's not true. Not when he's at a buffet. And when he's at a buffet, he says he doesn't eat any carbs.
No, I don't normally eat a lot of carbs. That's just a total lie. Don't let them perpetuate lies like that. Okay?
Don't
Try not to
perpetuate
agree with
lies.
trolls. That's our number one order of the day is don't agree with the trolls. Remember, they're only trolling you. It's not a serious dialogue you're having with anybody. You're just
You
trolling.
got one number. Good. Oh, wait. You got one number away from it.
I'll cook this later when I can. Right now, I'm not going to cook it because I don't want to interrupt
Okay.
the signal. No?
It's fine with me.
Are you kidding? The radio frequency?
I don't care.
It would. No, I do. It would ruin the signal. It wouldn't function.
All right.
I'll be in just a bit. Hang in there.
You got one number out of 5. Okay, Master Meatball. And the other numbers were so close, yet so far away. You know what they say about close? Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Actually, I've never played horseshoes, so I don't even know if close counts in that game. I think I did play it once, but I don't know. I didn't know how to keep score, so I just figured you had to put the horseshoe around the hook, but anyway. You love horseshoes, they'll fire? Okay. Cling. Yeah, that's true. That is the sound that the horseshoes make when it clings against the post. Cling. Speaking of horseshoes, I saw this cool blacksmith shop that had like the whole wall above the blacksmith shop was like horseshoes. It was like, well, it wasn't a wall. It was a, well, it was the length of a wall, but it was a beam. A beam was all horseshoes. Oh, cool! You bought a Bluetooth keyboard so you can type while doing things through your cell phone. Okay, that's interesting. Isn't that sad, Ricky? said so many. Oh, who did the hacker firewall misconfiguration? Erratic as a woman? What are you talking about, Ricky? No, not yet, Ace Big. Give me a couple weeks before I count it up. Well, then it'll only be a couple weeks till school starts up. I think it starts up in 5 or 6 weeks. My friend became a principal, and she has to be back at work on Thursday, the day after tomorrow. Yeah. Wait. Yes, the day after tomorrow. She has to be back at work. So, I mean, I'm glad I'm not a principal. They get less time off than I do. I know they make more money though, but they also have a lot more to deal with. They have to monitor the teachers and deal with behavior students and deal with families and try to run a good school and scheduling and everything. Well, also, like, my principal, sometimes they have to do last minute hires and they have to figure out which kids are going to be in what class. We did some organization for them, but the final touches on that, maybe Bingalitis. Not I, Joe Pesci, are you? I'm so sorry that school was a bad experience for you. I hope that I make a better experience for the students I teach. No, actually there's at least one. Well, the janitorial staff work throughout the summer because they take all the desks out of the classrooms and clean. They do dusting from like ceiling to floor and cleaning and waxing the floors. And so they do a deep cleaning during the summer. They only have summer school for students who are on an IEP who don't meet their IEP goals. An IEP is an individual education plan, and that's like specialized education. Well, and not just the janitors, but usually the office staff, like a couple secretaries, also start up in August 1st. And the reason they start up August 1st is because like there's the people who like forgot to register their kids for kindergarten in June and May and June, and so then they're like, oh, my kids just turned 5, I better register them for kindergarten. So it's the last minute registrations and new people that just moved over the summer, and then when they got to their new location the school was closed, so they have to register those new students who just moved into the area. So there's a lot of those kinds of things. Thanks. Be the change you want to see in the world. I thought that was Muhammad Ali, not how he did it. Thanks, just a bug. Oh, you play basketball, the ones who stay in shape.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's good exercise.
He's part of it.
I used to do, well, no, I never really played basketball. I used to think walking and, things like that. I did coach soccer for a little bit. Now, I was never in a breakfast club, but I used to think those would be good to help me stay in shape. But my feet are like totally shot. So I'm going to default to swimming like David does.
I know. Thank you so much. And we're going back into
We went swimming tonight.
That was
and
great.
It was really nice in a swimming pool.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe we'll continue swimming after
We
the
could
show.
always go for another swim.
What is this time on Central or
Yeah, that's Central. That's correct.
East
Central.
Coast or?
That's Central. It originally came from the center. We're centrists, so it's Central Time.
I think I did try to be a cool girl once, but then I realized I'm just a nerd.
I don't think the idea of being a cool girl is really a marketable thing, even though they make a lot of money doing it. Personally, I don't think anyone is going to get that to that point where they can be cool in the eyes of anybody, because no one cares.
David, you're cool like that.
Not really. I'm just doing
You
I'm
want
just
the
myself.
idea of being cool.
I like cool rock, you know.
Here, you want to come in this way?
Why, it doesn't matter.
No, you're coming in the show. I take it though.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to step over a cord.
Well, that's if you want to come back. I wanted to make it easy for you. Yeah. If you don't want to come back, that's okay too.
I'll come back.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, it's a 2-hour format now. You don't even need to give me a break. I'm good. But everyone wants to see you, and they like talking and engaging with you, Sarah. So. I know.
They're very cold.
So the cat travels with us. Yes, Amber is really amazing. She's 16, going on timeless. I looked up some of the oldest cats alive. She looks just like them. So hopefully she'll make it. Very durable cat. I told Sarah after we cured her of her chlamydia at an early age with antibiotics, she hasn't had any illnesses whatsoever. Knock on wood. This is not a hairpiece. This is my real hair. I go on this show because I want you to know that I'm real. I'm not some CGI make-believe person. There was an interesting theory that was proposed last night that the 5G network is actually a broadcast system for holographs that the government will someday use to create the illusion of aliens abducting us. What a great conspiracy theory. I simply ask the question, why do they have them in certain specific areas? Because I've been driving around the country, and I got to tell you, it makes no sense. They should just be right in the immediate area of Cleveland or Cincinnati or Boston. They're right in key areas. It's like, why are they not broadcasting? Because they have to be every 300 feet a piece to move the signal. And Sarah suggested maybe they were used for autonomous driving. But why just in that area? So I'm beginning to wonder why they're just being deployed in certain key areas, almost like traffic pinch points. That's where they're being deployed. Wherever traffic really gets intense, the 5G network is sitting right there. Somebody said my hair looks like it's crawling off my head right now. Yeah, well, when we took on a pet, we knew it would be a lot of responsibility. I even said to Sarah, "Do you really want to do this?" And the cat was dying of chlamydia, so we saved the day on her. Really did. And saved her life, and she's restored my faith in all living creatures. You want Larry? Okay. Here's Larry on demand. Here he is. There he is. He'll say what he has to say.
Where Senator Obama exited the limousine with $250, which was provided to him by me. Returned a short while later with an 8-ball of cocaine, which he gave to me. I did ingest a couple of lines of cocaine, and shortly thereafter, Senator Obama produced a glass cylinder pipe and packet of crack cocaine from his pocket. Obama then smoked the crack cocaine. I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine. After which I had the driver take me to my hotel, the Comfort Suites, Gurnee, Illinois.
You know, he never did say how much Obama paid him for that. He was a prostitute. Larry Sinclair was a prostitute who admitted he had been with Obama, and they claimed he wasn't credible, even though he passed a lie detector test with 99% certainty. He just did not want Obama to get away with a lie that he wasn't a crackhead. Now, 97% of all crack users return to the crack pipe. That means that Barack Obama has a 97% chance of being a crackhead. Any other questions? I mean, there are people in the media that, even in major places like Elon Musk, who is admittedly a crackhead, Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing. That's a really bad thing. But, he said that it was the only way you could stay up, stay awake. He tweeted that. It's like, wow. And Obama is skinny, highly indicative of crack use. I bet people who actually did crack cocaine before. I saw a guy rock out crack right in front of my eyes. I didn't expect it, but this basketball player at UCLA. Yeah, he was. I was shooting hoop out there. I'm really good, and he was going, "Wow, you can shoot pretty good." Yeah, what about him? And he walked up and he just swished it from 25 feet. I said, "Man, you could be pro." And he said, and he pulled his shirt down. He says, "Man, I can't be pro. My whole arm, my shooting arm, was cracked in 3 places." He had Smith fractures from a car accident he was in. It ruined his basketball career. Flat out ruined it. He was going to be a star. And he had been relegated to a guy who could have been somebody. And it really hurt his emotions. And he said, "Hey, well, just come on back to my apartment." So a bunch of us were like walking with him. We went back to his dorm room. And the guy, just out of the blue, pulls out a container of flask or something and starts cracking out, like rocking out cocaine into crack. This is the original crack. And I said, "What are you doing that for, man? You could easily play basketball in the B leagues." He said, "No, man, this is what makes me happy." It's like, okay, I'm out of here later. Yeah, I think I left before he smoked the crack. I didn't need to see somebody get high on crack and be so happy. It's just sickening. And you wonder how these people have become who they are. Yeah, well, Epstein may not make it through the week. I mean, the scarring on his neck indicates that maybe either he was looking for attention to get to the infirmary, but Jeffrey Epstein is going to try to do everything he can to get out of this. And now some people are thinking that he'll be killed because he knows too much dirt on all the pedophiles in Washington and Hollywood. And he's ready to spill his beans about them in exchange for leniency like he did before with Acosta, Trump's former labor secretary, who finally left after repeated demands by the public, including me. Well, Arkansas is a serious situation. We could easily bring that stuff up. But as you know, anybody who does usually dies about 2 or 3 weeks later. Yeah, there's a whole list. The truth is, a lady created a list called the Clinton body count of over 147 people that have died mysterious deaths, who had knew the Clintons closely and had information and were about to testify. I mean, what's the chances of that happening? Well, this woman who created it, she died a mysterious death too. And now her list, when you Google the Clinton body count, her list is gone. You got to go 6 pages deep to get close to it, right? You get fact checks, Snopes, everything stands in the way saying this is just not true, blah, blah, blah. They have stacked the internet against a search for all the people that have had strange deaths as a result of knowing Clintons, like Vince Foster. James McDougal, a guy who's ready to testify in the Whitewater case, 1 hour before he stands in front of the judge, dies of a heart attack, conveniently in the jail cell. I mean, come on. Tell me that's not a little suspicious. Let's get to the truth here. Cover up after cover up in our government. It's been going on, and they've been getting away with it. And we, the American people, are innocent dupes, trusting innocent dupes to a massive con game where they got all the things they wanted: more military activity, greater control over countries like Iraq and Afghanistan. The American people rooting for war, even though the Iraqis had nothing to do with the attack at the World Trade Center. But ironically, Mueller signed off on that, just like he's signing off on the Russian collusion, calling it the new norm, calling it a conspiracy, a Russian conspiracy, the new norm. That's what he said. So here Mueller's doing the same thing he did in 9/11, rubber stamping something and putting it away and shutting it down and covering it up. JFK, covered up. 9/11, covered up. Russian collusion, covered up. You see how this works? It's not that difficult to see what they're doing. Fusion GPS was just a company that Hillary had solicited to get the information on the dossier. The dossier was very real. You Republicans must now realize that Donald Trump, he was blackmailed by the Russians and could still be today. Yeah, and Mueller's calling this the new norm. And you people have to understand, you people are being duped. This is not a new norm. This should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law right now. If we make this the new norm, then we're bending over to Russian influence and new world order influence, if you will. Our government's being hijacked by very powerful elitists. And if you don't realize that by now, oh my God, I mean, what more do you need to know? Trump is easily controllable. Hillary was controllable, but not easily controllable. So they were a little worried about her physical health, too. So they had to actually bring Trump in and rig the election so that he'd win. The people that are behind this scrim, we'll call them Zionists, for a lack of a better word, they're no longer about Israel. It's now about a new world order. It's now about global control and the destiny of mankind. And their greatest goal, really, is total domination of the earth and subjugation of mankind, meaning you and I. We'd be zip-tied and sent to FEMA camps if they had their way. They don't want people on Earth. And ironically, you drive around and you see all this land available, and yet homeless people are clinging to corners in 5th and Main. It's just crazy how humans have aggregated in cities when clearly there's more land and lots of opportunity, but there's no water. So humankind has purposely not created fresh water. Now that's stupid. Instead, we're poisoning the skies with chemtrails when we should be focusing on fixing and cleaning water, which is one of the most important life forces there is. So, I say focus on water production, and population growth will be no problem, because water will create food, and food will lead to prosperity, and prosperity among all nations will lead to peace. Simple. It's a simple equation, really. It's truly the way and the path of our future. Relying on pure water has always been critical. Now, in my area, Navy is dumping flame retardant on all the planes to this day, even though they know it's contaminating the water and the aquifers underneath the ground. Luckily, I live in an area between the two sites that are contaminated, and our water is still very clean. But you never know. It can probably leach 10 miles in either direction. I have no idea the behavior of this particular flame retardant. But they're putting it in not just our neighborhood. There's 611 communities in America now that are contaminated with flame retardant. And the government won't even answer to the question of, why are you doing this? Well, it works real good at putting out flames on the planes. So if you have a serious flame outbreak on a plane because these planes are built poorly, and you're spraying flame retardant on it in order to keep the flame from blowing, I'd say you've got a problem in the design of the plane. I mean, it's a simple equation. They're not properly designing these planes, that they're blowing up. And they need flame retardant. I mean, it's ridiculous. So we could clearly do better in this department. Unmanned aerial defenses will be the wave of the future, and I embrace the drone missile defense idea that I came up with. I really believe that our country can be the spearheading the way toward selling defensive weapons to even our enemies, if you can imagine. There's a market there. And I don't want to be enemies with other countries, but clearly they have enemies, and I would have no problem enabling a country like Turkey with a missile defense system, even if they're buying an S-400 from Russia. I really don't care, as long as we make the sale and they're a protected country. I don't plan on invading Turkey. Erdogan can do whatever he wants to do there. But the Republicans are having a problem with this leader of Turkey. They don't like the fact that he's buying Russian S-400s. But I'd be willing to sell as a competitive seller. We're in the competitive military hardware industry just like Russia is. But if Russia controls us, they have the upper hand on those deals. So that's the big question too. If Russia's making the moves on Donald Trump, where are we economically? If Donald Trump has a debt to China, personal debt, which we know is close to $600 million, how are we going to verify that China is going to How are we going to verify that China is not going to use that as leverage in a trade deal? Or Donald Trump is using it as leverage right now. Yeah, go a little light on the water pipe there. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, you can be an island unto yourself. But I believe that Donald Trump is engaging in collateral personal trade with China while he's making deals for America. And then no wonder our trade deals have gone south with China. Okay, we're having a problem refreshing over at iVlog, so I'm not really communicating with people here. Yeah. But clearly, we cannot possibly expect Donald Trump to be striking a deal with China while he's got a side deal for trademarks. That happened. Ivanka went over there and did a little thing with Xi Jinping, and all of a sudden Donald Trump had 38 trademarks approved by Beijing. That's strange. Now, Beijing is coming down hard on Hong Kong right now. Very much so. They want anybody violating laws within the Hong Kong area can be now shipped to mainland China and Beijing. And the Hong Kong people are protesting. They don't want that. And I don't blame them. But Beijing says that it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And they're still planning on virtually taking over their rights. And Hong Kong was an independent sector of the British nation for so long. It's having these growing pains finally. And it will result in protest riots and human bloodshed, unfortunately. And China doesn't care. They have education and re-education camps ready to take people in and retrain them. And that's the world of the totalitarian Chinese government. They've chosen to do that for their people. We didn't opt in on that. Yet our government very likely could lean in that direction if we don't stand up for our rights right now. I've never gotten any medicine to snort from anyone. Yeah. Doctors usually don't hand you some white powder and say, snort this after your dental procedure. What are you saying? Yeah, I think you're off on a tangent there, buddy. But yeah, Chinese relations with Trump clouded with mystery. It's very strange, and it's kind of weird that Trump is coming out so hard against Iran and being so hard-line. It's like he got caught in a lie. It wasn't his idea to not sign the treaty. It was mine. He took my ideas. He didn't follow up with the idea of not imposing economic sanctions. He imposed them, and now he's stuck, and he's doubling down on his plan to hurt Iran somehow. When we know it's proven that economic sanctions won't stop Iran's buildup of nuclear weapons. It's ridiculous. It cost our country $150 billion already because of Donald Trump's, actually Barack Obama's decision to make a treaty with Iran, which I was against formally. $150 billion just to cover our ass because Barack Obama didn't follow my advice not imposing economic sanctions against Iran. That was also something I said back then. I've been fighting to not impose economic sanctions against Iran, kind of like Ron Paul, but Ron Paul kind of dropped the ball a little bit. He got too soft on Iran. We have to give them a win, a way out. They can't possibly succeed unless they show their people their saving face. So we actually have to articulate a way for both parties to win. And that's the way to broker any type of a deal toward nuclear disarmament. We also have to get Israel on board with a protocol of signing the nuclear disarmament policy. Our nuclear arms reduction policy is very clear, and we have other countries sign it. Why wouldn't Israel sign it? Why wouldn't Israel admit that they have nuclear weapons? These are big questions that I'm asking. Ilhan Omar can ask them too. I don't care. But I really do think we need to get to the bottom of that too. Hey, Zelfire, thank you. I can't possibly be a socialist. I'm a hybrid capitalist, Piper Salem. We wrote a book about hybrid capitalism, and I believe that there's a pathway below the idea of the government taking over industry. Now, Bernie Sanders is definitely a socialist in all directions, even a communist. And his desire to create a Medicare for all and put it on the backs of the taxpayer is absurd. But he says it's not going to affect the middle class. He's just going to tax the rich to pay the $60 trillion it would cost. We could never ever imagine that, but that would be the exact opposite of Donald Trump, giving tax breaks to the rich to the tune of $5.5 trillion over 10 years. That's a problem. Yeah, and look at Bernie Sanders. He makes $2 million a year on his book sales, and he's in the 1%, acting like he's a socialist. He's trying to stop Wall Street. Bernie Sanders has never stopped Wall Street once in Vermont. He's never been effective in Congress. He's basically heard as a kind of a loudmouth because he doesn't articulate a way in which he's going to do it. You know, when Barack Obama took his second term, I said immediately he needs to fire his SEC staff, and I said it in 2008 as well. But finally they listened, and they began to fire the SEC staff, the Securities and Exchange Commission that oversees corporate Wall Street greed. Bernie's never suggested that. It's like Bernie's in the pocket of the Wall Street executives, and he's just speaking the line about stopping them. Bernie's never said to fire everybody at the SEC. Why not? Ask these big questions. You know, obviously they got the goods on Bernie. He threw the election to Hillary Clinton, clearly. Everyone knows he made a lot of money, even bought a brand new sports car. And not two, but three $600,000 houses Bernie owns. So don't kid yourself. That guy sold out a long time ago, and he turned his back on the Democrats that voted for him. I guarantee he could have gone farther in that election process. His own wife, Jane, urged him to put his name in that hat. He just folded like it was nothing. He gave up to Hillary Clinton, and look what that cost the Democrats in this past election. And believe me, I'm of the belief that James Comey may have actually worked for Donald Trump and the Russians in rigging this election. So because the Democrats have not come up with an impeachment plan to stop Donald Trump doesn't mean it's over. Because the collusion, or conspiracy as Mueller calls it, is still going on. Doesn't it negate the fact that it's going on, does it? Just because the Democrats and Nancy Pelosi, she doesn't want to actually do anything. She wants to skate into 2020 as Speaker of the House. That's all she cares about. She doesn't even care if the Democrats win. But the Republicans, they're so nefarious in their efforts to stack the Supreme Court now with pro-life Supreme Court justices. In lieu of the fact that they won illegally with Russia's help, it shows you the corruption and the deep lying core of the Republican Party and how they're willing to do whatever it takes. Heck, NRA got money from Russia, and we don't hear about it in the news. You notice that? Maria Butina got an 18-month sentence, but how much money did she really move into the hands of the NRA from Russia? And what about that $30 million they gave Donald Trump at a critical time in his campaign? How come the NRA is now thinking of actually disbanding? Because they don't have enough money to run. They're thinking of going bankrupt. Oh, there's something very deep in these still waters. What they don't talk about, they don't make any statements at the NRA. That's what I believe could be the very source of the connection to Russia, as well as the Russian oligarchs working through the Shabbat Leibovich, the location where Donald Trump and Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump spend their time worshiping God, or Lucifer, or whoever they worship. Now, Biden, I think his dream VP would be to have an 8-year-old girl as his vice president, one that he could play with her hair. If only the requirement was 8 years old to become president, he would choose an 8-year-old girl to play with her hair. Yeah. No, I haven't mentioned who's going to be my VP because it's irrelevant right now. You gotta understand, I'm doing this show against all odds. In lieu of your inability to donate, we can't really elevate to a higher level. But we'll still do the show, don't get me wrong. I'm not giving up at all. But because we can't get past this barrier of donations, we just decided, we're going to cruise along at a snail's pace and see where we go. The Democratic Republican arms are so powerful from corporate greed and money that there's no way we could even begin to amass enough money to stop them. So what I've developed is a campaign that is an anti-campaign, or shall I say, the use of media equity. Building an audience and talking to that audience and communicating every night is worth way more than money. And we're kind of in the anti-money mode, where we can word of mouth can spread way faster than their money can spread. So we actually have the edge in these people, believe it or not. They're playing catch up. I beat them 10 years in advance. I saw all of this and the need for a daily show, despite all opposition. And it really has paid off. I don't require money to do this. I'm not greedy like Mark. I don't have to make money from Russian oligarchs or get bought out. I do this because I really believe in what I'm doing. That's way more powerful than greed. So I think I may have locked up an iVlog and open up again. I may have missed your chat. So you guys have been chatting in iVlog. I may have been locked out. Because nobody said anything since Add the One said I play basketball to stay in shape. I must have missed a lot of stuff here. All right. You know, if you can't recognize the need to find a third party in the middle somewhere, then you haven't really dug deep enough. You have to understand that the American people have to find a way out, and the only way out is through the middle, not through each side. Nobody's going to like the LGBTQ beliefs of the Democrats now. It's landing on deaf ears. Many people are going, I mean, I don't mind tolerating transgenders, but I'm not going to tell my kids to become a tranny. Yeah. It's been working for you, okay, good. Thanks, Add the One. Many people are wondering, what about the homeless? You know, I mean, the Democrats haven't done anything to solve the homeless problem. You got crap in the streets of Nancy Pelosi's district. They've spent $750,000 cleaning that up. Yeah, I know. Why don't the Democrats grow a brain cell and maybe put in a bathroom? You think? You know? No. That's too intelligent. Bathrooms actually work. The thing is, the Democrats have wasted so much money that our municipalities are now floating in debt, credit debt. And we've got Democrats pitching more plans to get contractors more work, thinking that means jobs. That means profit for contractors. The Democrats have bankrupted much of America simply offering incredible deals to contractors who fleece the Democrats for money. I've never met a Democrat with a clear understanding of fiscal conservancy. I've met a few Republicans that are fiscal conservatives, but oftentimes they're so greedy they are hoarders. They just hoard all their money. That's not exactly fiscal conservancy. So neither party can really be fiscally conservative. They're unable, because they're tied to the re-election machine, and they get money to get reelected constantly. And it's a small pittance really for companies to give them a little bit of money, for them to give those companies huge contracts, which is what the Democrats have been doing. In my area of Washington, Boeing got an immense amount of contracts from a woman named Patty Murray and Maria Cantwell. They both approved it. All the people in my area approved this. Boeing had lost on every single point of contention. Most planes are tested on 6 points of contention when contract bids come up. Boeing had lost on all 6 points prior to those three people, my representatives, getting a hold of that document in 2011. It flipped immediately. And I don't know how that's possible. But now we're looking at inferior vehicles being produced, with flame retardant being used to put out fires, with the Supermax now wondering what its fate is. No one knows where Boeing is going with that. With an entire cover-up at the highest levels over the entire way in which Boeing handled that situation. And 346 people are dead because of that. So Boeing isn't exactly the best company out there. And so you're seeing a lot of corporate connections between Boeing, the Democrats, military contracts, inferior equipment, It's not just about jobs. It's really about greed. That's what it's about. Bill Clinton just played a little game, a number game, Daryl. He borrowed money from the Social Security Trust Fund in that year that he had a zero deficit. It was trickery, pure trickery. It's been exposed. Bill Clinton never had a zero deficit. It was just trickery. Yeah, so unfortunately that's been a nonstop reality about the Democrats. They keep taking money. Okay, let's take a look here and see what we got. Okay, so 2 children, recent college graduate killed in California festival shooting. Yeah, we talked about that, and Scissorfight presented interesting video earlier showing that it doesn't add up. Yeah. He showed areas in which the Gilroy Garlic Festival shooting news was posted days before it happened. And he played that video for us earlier. Here's a link to this video. And let's get some hits over to Scissorfight, because he certainly needs more hits on that site of his. 153news.net is battling this entire case where we're being propagandized about gun control, and they're making it seem like every couple of weeks there's a shooting, which makes everyone wonder, oh well, maybe we should have gun control. Well, Scissorfight's showing you how they're putting these news stories out ahead of the event, which implies foreknowledge, which means they may very well be, tricking everybody into believing this is happening. But yeah, here's the link to Scissorfight's video. You can check it out. There it is. Check it out. Proof positive that trickery is going on. Advanced postings of news stories. I mean, come on. That's false flag 101. All right. In talking about the truth, I want everyone to realize that the word conspiracy is not a bad word, okay? Even Mueller was using it in the investigation into Donald Trump. They called it a conspiracy with Russia. And he believes that it was going on. So we know now that really did happen. There is a conspiracy happening between Donald Trump and Russia. That's a fact. The American people have been versed on this. What we're going to do about it is really a huge question, because Mueller says this is the new norm. That's a little suspicious. But yeah, we're looking at fakery going on at all levels in America, and the American people being duped into believing things. And this is by design. They're purposely trying to make people believe that our country is unsafe for some reason. Yeah, Scissorfight says it's another false flag shooting. It's all over 153 News. Exactly. Thank you. And thanks for that clip, because I'm more than willing to talk about it in detail, but I haven't even looked at the video. I've been too busy driving. But I assume there's no blood and no images of dead people. So these are all common characteristics of false flaggery. I coined the term false flaggery, by the way. So I'm not calling anybody names here. Yeah, no bodies, no proof, no blood. Just an allegation that I heard in the news that somebody saw blood everywhere. So that's all we got, is somebody said they saw blood everywhere. That's the big news item. They used to show a lot more. In 1966, I watched TV every night. we'd watch the news. Yeah, with Walter Cronkite. And we'd listen to the war. They literally didn't have time to edit the video, the film that they had of American soldiers getting killed and blown up with mines. And we'd be looking at this stuff and seeing our brothers and sisters, mostly brothers, being killed. And people like Donald Trump got off from the draft with a pass by his father claiming he had bone spurs. Yet he has no scars to prove that he's had bone spur surgery. Yeah, 58,000 men died that year. And that war, the Vietnam War, would not have stopped without the awareness of the American people that it was constantly taking its toll and taking American lives. Had they had an antiseptic control like they do today of the Gulf Wars and Afghanistan, people don't really feel like it's happening, so they don't think that it should stop. Well, back then, the movement to stop the war in Vietnam was so strong that even Nixon had to pass the torch to Gerald Ford, his appointee, to stop it, because it had really bounced back. John Lennon was a critical element in stopping the Vietnam War, because his outspoken style worldwide raised awareness for the dangers of this meaningless war that had no purpose other than to pad the pocket of a few heroin dealers. They say that the Golden Triangle was at the root. The truth about the Vietnam War was the Golden Triangle, and somehow there was a funding of heroin sales going from Hong Kong to England through the Vietnam countries. And somehow it was involved. I have no idea of the specifics, but we were in a war that we should never have been in for a long time, and it killed a lot of people. And our government has not paid a single minute of time to discussing that in the news. Not 1 minute has been talked about. Ever since our Robert F. Kennedy died, nobody in the media has talked about this. And similarly, nobody in the media, especially Trump, won't talk about how the CIA profits from the sale of heroin produced by the warlords in Afghanistan. That's another true thing that's not being discussed worldwide in any media form. And they purposely avoid it because it's the truth. They don't want anyone to know that the American government is making money on the sale of heroin. That would ruin their image, wouldn't it? So all these things are things that we discuss in our show that you can't find anywhere else in the media. That's why the show is so engaging, in my opinion. All right. So, Boris Johnson's visit to Wales seeks to reassure on Brexit. Yeah. I know. Sarah was talking about worms, too. Okay, I think Trump's infatuation with Baltimore is a little suspicious. I think maybe they're planning on rioting. They're going to probably, his friend George Soros, Trump's friend George Soros, is probably going to fund a riot in Baltimore. And then Trump will go, oh, the problem in Baltimore is so terrible. But still, black people think they're very negative on Trump still. And the question is Donald Trump racist? Half of the U.S. voters think so, according to a new poll. Wow. There's been a Walmart shooting in Mississippi with 2 dead. And the Virginia Black Caucus, state Democrats boycott commemorative events over Trump's attendance. Okay. Virginia Black Caucus. Well, Virginia Governor Northam should step up and maybe do a little blackface for the Black Caucus, you know. I think that'd be pretty bold of him to do that. Yeah, that would be kind of cool, you know. 100,000 watching in Hunan. Welcome, Hunanese. I understand that there's a re-education camp going on in China, and many of you are fearful of being sent there. Some of you are Muslim, who are trying to simply pray to Allah and are being told you're not allowed to actually do that by the Chinese government. Yeah, and I'm not here to tell Muslims they can't pursue their own freedom of religion like Trump does. I believe that anybody can do whatever they want in this country. Even if an atheist wants to pursue that religion, you can certainly do that. Although you have very little scripture to read. I don't believe there's any atheist doctrine, is there? Thou shalt not believe in anything. Okay. Okay, we've got the flag rolling here. Aren't you feeling patriotic with that? Have you noticed the alien spacecraft in the flag? Yeah, there's a small at the dot right here. You'll see it in just a second. Oh, I must have missed it. Huh. It's out of your view. Well, good, you can't see it. Great. Yeah, the divide makes people not even want to talk at all. You see, this whole separation of Republicans versus Democrats is by intention. They purposely divided us. They gave us the worst liberal, fake Democrat, Barack Obama, who didn't do a damn thing. He didn't even help the people of Flint, Michigan get fresh water. He laughed at them. And then you got Trump, far right, denying climate change completely, refuses to talk about anything negative about himself, never has any self-awareness, always believes that he's closing the deal, but it's always to help him, not the country. Hi there, McCat Fluffy. McCat Fluffy. How are ya? It's my cat Fluffy. Yeah, they got a tsunami weapon. You think they may have used that against Japan? Pirate Salty Dog? Okay, good. And now I go into kind of calm Dave mode because we're reaching kind of that point where we, slowing down, relaxing. Driving long distances is not easy, but we have a good vehicle and that makes it a little nicer. And when you do travel, you really have to, get that nice hotel room. Of course, they're all the same. Every morning it's the same breakfast. Cookie cutter, waffle maker, batter that's made by some artificial GMO producer. Thanks. Every morning it's always the same stuff. Sausages, bacon, bran flakes with raisin bran with GMO sugar all over it. Every day. But I have to ask myself, if I was in Nigeria, I wouldn't have anything to eat. So I look at the food and I'm going, well, I'm going to make this edible. They even use egg beater eggs. You don't see any real eggs anymore. They're just egg beater and microwaved in the microwave. But I just say, this is food. Some people don't have any food. So just appreciate it, Dave, and eat it, Well, I'm trying to avoid pork, but unfortunately it's powering up the niacin I need to keep moving forward and remain calm during travel time. Bacon is very good for vitamins. It's full of niacin. It's the health food. Bacon, the health food. Yeah, without bacon, many people wouldn't have even survived the 1800s. Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, I've been reading all about the history of America and how it's been based on the exploitation of people for centuries. Yeah. And people had to survive, so the bacon was one of the most portable products out there. Yeah, give a starving person in the woods some cooked bacon. There you go. Now, I have a way of solving homelessness where, and I was telling Sarah that this is my plan. She doesn't think it's a great plan, but I like it. It's put a shuttle bus, finance a shuttle bus, a small shuttle bus, not that big, 20-person shuttle bus, to drive circular patterns from a city center to, say, 7 miles away in a wooded area that could be like a campground, cleared of any underbrush, with, camp tables and fireplaces and things that, how about like a park? And just keep it rolling. Now, the only place I could send people from Skid Row would be Griffith Park. It'd be a little bit weird. Most people, and the reality is most people stay in these cities to score fentanyl and methamphetamines. Yeah, that's why they're staying there. So you could do that. And she has a point. You could provide a natural environment where people could get food and good toilet facilities. But they'd really just prefer to stay in the city so they can score some meth. That's the problem we're facing. They want meth more than they do food. And I mean, white folk, black folk, Asian folk, Hispanic folk, all like meth. And that's a problem, because we've got this endemic homeless population growing because they're on fentanyl and fentanyl patches. And of course, they do OD on these fentanyl patches. So they no longer become a problem to the state once they do OD. Maybe that's why they've allowed fentanyl patches to be distributed freely. You think? Hey, I'll leave you with some thoughts that came into my mind recently. Oh, here's the garlic shooter, and victims appear to not exist. Whoa. That looks good. Thank you. Tiptoe through the tulips with my tulips. Do. See for yourself. So there's no match for these people that allegedly died. This is not the first time this has happened, folks. People have been done deep searches for these people, and they get no matches for the victims. Wow. How come your cam is downgraded, or the show? The show is downgraded only because of the limitations on the video signal and the fact that this is a travel show. No match for birth or residence of some of the victims' names. Or the shooter. Wow. Oh my goodness, no images. Okay, so there's nobody by that name, it appears. There's no match. So they're doing background checks on everybody, including the shooter, and there's not a trace of a real person. Wow. Thank you, Scissor Fight. No victims. Okay, there's a father possibly named Jorge Justo. An entertainer, maybe. Yeah, deep searches like this are very time consuming, and these people have done a great deal of research. I will post this 153 News link as a courtesy to Vaughn users right now. Thank you for that, Scissor Fight. Yeah, the arresting a victim family gone. Yeah. Apparently, nobody existed by that name, so they're getting even more lazy in their attempt to fake this. Gilroy's lovely, yeah. They sell great garlic there. Anyway, yeah, this is a different type of a show with me talking to the chat room from a remote location. We do a 6 to 8 show on our traveling time period every day, Monday through Friday, and I take the weekends off so I can pound some miles. But because I don't fly, I do own many pairs of White Sox. Yes. Because I don't fly, I do not in any way really feel like I can abandon the show. Normally I would fly to a new location and just start doing the show from a different perspective, but I really have to be able to do this nightly no matter where I am, simply because of the need to talk about the news. I'm very dedicated, yeah. But it's more about communicating with you and you knowing that I'm watching the news just like you are, and I'm aghast at what's happening. people are frustrated because the media paints it out like, oh, there's nothing to worry about. But we're all aware that our government has been compromised. Yeah. There have been a few people that have tried to do shows, but we've been doing 10 and going on 11 years of shows. Coming up in about 15 days, we're going to have our 11-year anniversary. Yeah. I know. Well, the fact is we can't keep, if I were to stop doing the show, it'd be, they win. They're trying to stop me. I can't stop the show, and I won't stop. Because if they're trying to stop me, they win. You see? The more they try to stop me, the longer the show will run and the more powerful it'll be. Simply because it's a yin-yang relationship. They're the yang, I'm the yin. So the more they suppress us, the more the word of mouth pops up that I'm being censored. And the more it becomes obvious that I've got the answers that the other candidates don't. And that the world's asking the big question, why isn't David getting some airtime? And when a resounding message from around the world continues to say this, it's inevitable that the critical mass of this message will overtake their censorship. And we'll begin to see the world turn in a different direction towards sustainability and even equal opportunity. Because right now we don't have it. Right now most people are they say most people, and this is the truth, will never rise or fall above or below 5% of their station in life, no matter who you are. So we're kind of like stuck in our socioeconomic station in life. That's because they've designed the world that way. They make money on their money, and they then use that to buy our political officials, who then just do whatever these people want, and we're stuck with no money, no opportunity, no jobs, no nothing. But we are making 0.01% interest in the bank. They've got us making nothing, virtually nothing in interest. And they're making 12% in the markets on average. So it's a big scam. And we have more power, but we don't have the ability to penetrate the media in America. That's the thing. We, being the world and all the average people, have more power than these elitists. We just don't know it. Okay, guys, well, this has been great. I don't want to extend too much because I think Sarah wants to take another swim, and actually she's sleeping right now, but you never know. She might have that first sleep and the second sleep, and then she'll be up ready for a nighttime swim. I feel like we could talk about more things, though. Yeah. But I think we've been talked out over the week. Donald Trump is in kind of like kickback land where he thinks he's won. Nobody's going to stop him. It's interesting to see a person of his caliber acting all pompous and cocky like he pulled one over on us. It's pretty obvious he's unable to comprehend that we know now that he truly has been working with the Russians and truly was blackmailed. It's hard for him to comprehend that. Hey. Yeah, you too, man. As much as I like to hang out and talk about the truth, there's only so much we can handle. I mean, this is the same old, same old. Every time we see a false flag, like the one in Gilroy, without any proof of bodies or blood, it's like, yeah, okay, let's roll the scroll. And it's like the minstrel and his monkey, winding the scroll and letting us all watch his little act. We've seen it, been there, done that. No longer interesting. And the news is getting very redundant because of the same crap that they keep pulling. Yeah. And that picture of a father and a kid trying to cross the USA border lying dead was put all across the viral media, and people have been, manipulated by it. But I can tell you one thing, that the travesty that's going on at the border may very well be equivalent to what Hitler did to the Jews. This is a real serious problem. There are concentration camp style ICE operations going on all over the country now. And Ilhan Omar was not too far off when she called them concentration camps. Or was it Ocasio? Ocasio called them concentration. But the fact is, the government is doing very little to stop this immigration problem. A fence has not been built. Trump didn't act on it. He's been sitting on his hands, and now he's got $2.5 billion. We'll see what he does, but I doubt a lot's going to get done. He's more about profiting from the fence. The people that power up Donald Trump actually want our country to have an open border. They want everybody to face the problems of illegal aliens entering their area. That's how they keep us weak. That's how they weaken our country. So it's doubtful that Trump will ever build my idea of a 1,000-mile fence. And these problems will persist. They want them to persist. They want our country to get weaker. They want to drain our education system. They want to drain our state budgets. They want to drain our medical support systems. They just want us to constantly suffer. That way they have the upper hand. These people don't want this country to be great and strong. The ones controlling our government officials and controlling the two parties absolutely want to keep this country on edge all the time. That's how they do it. This is an old ploy. The Romans deployed a similar plan. Divide and conquer. All right, well, yeah, this is ongoing. I do want to mention that there were 2 Border Patrol agents recently, about 3 weeks ago, that were shot and killed within 300-mile distance from each other. The official word from the Border Patrol is that they shot themselves with a gun. Now, I argue that that's not evident of shooting a person with a gun. No Border Patrol agent would just shoot themselves in the head with a gun. Especially 2 within 300 miles of Nogales. I believe that what happened was 2 officers turned on their commanding officers, said, "We won't put up with this. You can't treat people like this." And the commanding officer, in my belief, this is my belief, I can't support it with evidence, just cover-ups that's been happening right now, but I believe that this commanding officers just made an example of these men and shot them right in front of other men. That kept them quiet. That means that the Army and the Border Patrol won't talk. This is done in war all the time. That was suspicious. Another thing that was suspicious recently was the New York PD officers, both of them, about a month ago, both shot with bullets to their head. And again, the official story was suicide. One was a detective that was researching Hillary Clinton's emails that were found on Anthony Weiner's laptop, which mysteriously disappeared. 600,000 emails are no longer even being discussed by the NYPD. And that detective and his boss, the chief director above him, was killed about a month ago. Bullets to their heads. One was going to collect on a retirement plan right away. It would have never have killed himself. Yet the government and the media wants us to believe that they all killed themselves. All these people. They all suicided. Huh. I don't buy it. I think that the 600,000 emails that Anthony Weiner had on his laptop showed something very, very disturbing. And those men probably wanted to do something about it and were shunned and kept from the mainstream of the blue curtain, and then they just got offed. That's what I think happened. That's my personal take on what all 4 of those suicidings, if you will. But the government doesn't see it that way, and they look at these as just suicides. And then the story goes nowhere. Now, there more than likely was something on those 600,000 emails. According to James Comey, in his book, he said that they had a system that they could sort through those emails rather quickly, and they decided that none of those 600,000 emails were that relevant. That is the biggest crock of crap I have ever heard. That's why I believe James Comey's covering up a lot too. More than likely, those emails were completely revealing, and more than likely they were completely shut down. The case was put to rest, and now those 2 detectives are dead. So think about that, and think about your country and where we're headed, because it's not looking good with people like good, honest police officers getting clipped doing their job. Pretty serious and pretty suspicious that a government would allow such things without any oversight. Anyway, I'll leave you with those thoughts and be back tomorrow for Wasteful Wednesday, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming in. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Have a good one. Sleep tight. I'm trying to get 6 hours minimum every night if I can. All right, take care. You're welcome.
You're my Mr. Right, my Mr. Right, too good to be true. You spin my world around, 'cause you're the peace I finally found. You sweep me off my feet, my heart stops to beat, 'cause you make me melt away. My Mr. Right, too good just to turn my world around, 'cause you're the peace I finally found. You sweep me off my feet, my heart stops to beat, 'cause you make me melt away. You're my Mr. Right, my Mr. Right, too good to be true. You spin my world around, 'cause you're the peace I finally found. You sweep me off my feet, my heart stops to beat, 'cause you make me melt away. You're my Mr. Right, my Mr.